And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to Coca's Pizza here in Canfield, Ohio. This is the Canfield Lady Softball. I guess we'll call it a coach's corner here first. We're here with one of the legends of the area here, Mike Kernan, who is the head coach of the Canfield softball team. Coach, I mean, this first year back, what an exciting experience that you've had the last 18 months or so. To take this team in particular in your first year back to the state semifinals when collectively, I can say this because why have a network? The focus hasn't been on Canfield. It's been on other teams, and Canfield's kind of crept into the spotlight and said, hey, what about us? What has it been like for you to kind of take this team under the radar? And now, I mean, the magnascope's on you.
Well, that kind of takes the pressure off. I mean, it's awesome being under the radar. It's nice, just not having all the attention on you. So, that was a good position for us. It's exciting where we are. It's exciting how we got here. I continue to say how lucky I've been to have this team,
Sure.
To be put in the position that we are. And again, like you said, to come under the radar and then make some noise, that's okay with us.
Okay, two-part question here. Could this be, and you've had some great teams, I know that for certain, could this be the best team that you've ever coached?
Yes, I was talking to one of the officials early in the year in winter ball, and I was telling them, there's so much talent here. I said, one, we're going to be deep. One, we have great leadership. We have great seniors. I said, this could be one of the most talented teams I've ever brought to the field, from a pitcher, hitting standpoint, defensive skill standpoint. So definitely one of the most, if not the most talented team I've coached.
So when you come back, and there was a lot of interest for this position, obviously, because, well, look where you are, right? They knew what was going on. What were some of the things that you looked at and said, hey, I really like this team. We can really make a run if these things go right?
Yeah. It all starts with the pitcher. You saw Milena, you have a second pitcher in Bella Kennedy, and I'm looking at even the 3, 4, and 5 pitchers, and I'm sitting here saying, this is, I haven't had this luxury in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm looking at all the other pieces I'm looking at the whole picture. But I think, one of the keys is as I stepped away from Ursuline a couple years ago, got that great year of experience in college. And I said, it has to be the right spot for me to come back. And when I interviewed for this position and I knew a little bit of the background, I mean, this was just a perfect scenario.
So when you look at, I mean, you kind of alluded to it. You're at Ursuline, had a lot of success at Ursuline. You go down south, you go to the college route, and then you decide I'm coming home, right? We all know this valley is hard to stay away from. But when that name, Mike Kernan, comes across the desk, there's a lot of people that had a lot of raised eyebrows, and they said, oh, man, this must be a special team. Why was the decision for you to come back so important at this point in this time? You said it had to be the right decision. Obviously the team being part of it, but there was, I'm sure, more things that went in that decision than just what was on your roster.
Yeah, I appreciate the kind words too. I don't absorb things in that manner from my perspective, but I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, a lot had to happen. The family's back home. I've been here for how many years? Mm-hmm. I'm a Youngstown homie. Yeah. There's no ifs and buts about it. I mean, if I found out after 50-some years, I found out. Youngstown's just home for me. Mm-hmm. And again, what actually, I was back at Hiram. There had to be really the perfect fit for me to even transition back. In Canfield, it was, and it was almost too easy.
Yeah. So when you get back, right, it's always kind of that awkward. It's like going back to school. You move away and then you come back and then you go, okay, this is kind of weird, but it feels like home. Like you feel like you're at home. What was it about Canfield that made you feel at home? What was it about this team that made you feel like, hey, not only am I going to be okay, we're all going to be okay together?
Oh, when I came back into the high school arena, I mean, there was a huge comfort zone. Leaving Ursuline, doing things the way we did for how many years. I mean, you got in a comfort zone. You knew your support system. I went away, was a good wake-up call just to say, you're an old dog. These are new tricks. You need to adjust. So that helped me transition to the Canfield as well. Going through those changes in college and saying, you're not in Kansas anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You need to adjust and focus. But then you throw this group of kids in the mix, these 8 seniors, and all the kids that were part of this mix. They were just they eased the transition like I couldn't explain to you. I mean, they made things easy. I say that, but I can't. It's hard for me to even amplify that because they really helped the cause of me coming into the program. They worked hard, great attitudes, unselfish. We talk about it all the time. When they're there, they're respectful, coachable. You couldn't have asked for a better group of players and senior leaders to help me in this transition.
Mike, what I appreciate about you most is that you do many things well, and you're very vocal about a lot of things. But one thing that you've carried with you throughout the time that I've known you, and probably well beyond, is you're a man of God, and you carry that with you. Faith is very important to you, and I know that your team, does prayer, and you have leaders in prayer and things of that nature. Is it a challenge sometimes to kind of overcome those barriers? And with schools and society being the way that we are, do you have to make sure that that's a part of where you are at all times?
That's an adjustment.
Yeah.
That was an adjustment and a transition. Obviously, at Ursuline it was easy. At Ave Maria it was easy. Mm-hmm. As an assistant coach at Hiram, which was funny. I mean, Hiram College was founded on the basis of the disciples of Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And I explained that to the coach and higher supervisors there. And I said, here's one thing I realized when I'm here at Hiram. I don't remember when the last time was I didn't pray before a game.
Yeah.
I said, so coach, if I disappear, I'm gonna go. I'll be off doing my prayer. It was towards the end of the season. The coach at Hiram College actually was given the sign of a cross to himself. I said, I saw that, coach. We had a great season last year. And then transitioning back to the public school system, and I've been following the roles and the rollings and how it's worked. Even since I was back in high school, we were able to say the prayer back then. But it's changed, and that's okay. A lot of changes. I've been fortunate to have a lead player in Haley Freedy, who's very spiritual and has guided our team and led our team in prayer and assisted me to assist in prayer with these kids. So that's still in play, intact, and when you talk about your priorities in God, family, and and that was stressed by my high school coach back in the day, and you want to bring that same impact allowable that you can to the kids in the community.
That's incredible, and people don't realize what that means. You might not hit them right here, but you might hit them down the road. They might go through the motions and then ultimately see what it's like, and that's what I appreciate. And there's a picture that Mahoning Valley Sports took. It's all of you kneeling and praying, and it hit me, right? It just hit me. Leadership. Let's talk about leadership, because there's a lot of different leadership ways to go around. There's a lot of different leaders on this team, both seniors and underclassmen, and then there's yours. What kind of leader example are you a servant leader, or are you someone who is like that, and you serve these kids so they can serve each other? What leadership style do you kind of subscribe to, and why?
That's a good question. My leader, I'm pretty sure my kids maybe don't realize the example that you set as a leader and until maybe they're past. I think they appreciate you. The leadership we bring to the table is, they watch, we're committed, we're dedicated. All these little things that make team a success. Humble. It's not about you. It's about having a great attitude. It's about staying positive, staying focused. All those little things. When we're doing that from October all the way through now, it's not about me. It's never about me. We don't talk about me. These kids know it's about the team. What's your role for the team? Where's that position me in a way that I say I'm a leader to these kids? Sometimes I reflect on that to myself and say, where is my fit? But I just show up, do the best I can, do the right thing you can. Say the right. You want in the end, you want these kids to walk away from athletics and not be a better athlete, but be a better person. And when you're teaching them how to be a great teammate, which is have a great attitude, great work ethic. But the most important piece is your unselfishness. That's the hardest piece until you get there. It's okay when everyone's playing, but when you're not playing and you could still be in that dugout and not be unselfish and cheer on your teammates. It's not as easy as it sounds.
No.
These kids do it here.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
But you kind of stress and emphasize that stuff. Not to only do it here, but that's what you're going to have to take in the real life. You're going to have to face adversity. It's easy to win. Anybody can win.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're losing or things don't go right, that's where your character's defined. That's where you're growing. That's where you're challenging yourself. When they're going through that here as an athlete, and they mature and become better people, and they do, whether they know it or not, they do. That's probably the biggest difference in the end, is they're walking away better people to be successful in life.
I love it. Great answer. And that's a tough question. That a lot of people have a hard time understanding what the kind of leader they are, let alone everybody else. All right, let's talk about the season. I mean, what an unbelievable season. The schedule that you guys have put together that was created. You go down to Myrtle Beach, you play the best of the best in Myrtle Beach. You're not shying away from anybody. And then you come back and you're a better team from that. I was able to witness one of your games because you were playing back-to-back, I think, with South Range. And one of those, that team that took, I think they ultimately won it. And you were still fighting and clawing down there. I think, was that your last game?
Our last game down there, yeah.
So there's two schools of thought. It's the schedule can break you because you're playing those tough teams and you're losing some of those close games and you lose the momentum. Or you take those close games and even games that you lose, and it builds your character, like you were talking about with your leadership, and it makes you a better team.
Yeah.
I'm just guessing that you're a philosopher of the second part of that.
Yeah. Well, again, facing the adversity, we lost. We played a pretty good pitcher. Should we have still won? Yeah. When you lose, I could have done a better job, no doubt. That should be the way you fall back on the losses, but we grow from that. Anytime we've faced adversity, our kids have responded and they have grown. So playing the best teams, there's a tough piece to it where you're being challenged. How do you come back from maybe facing the Sydney Watts and going 0-for-3 and striking out 3 times or striking out 2 times? A piece of that is also growing mentally and being mentally tougher to bounce back from stuff like that. And get better and figure out how to give me that one hit like Marina did to save our co-championship in the 7th inning of the 16th inning that we played, Fitch. When, however we want to add that up, you just got to keep staying focused and bounce back and have confidence, stay positive. And all those key games help you grow and get stronger and mature.
All right. Well, I wasn't going to say it. We talked about it off the air, but since, there's a 800-pound gorilla in the room, the games against Fitch, right? Yeah. 2 great teams that, could not decide a winner. And I'm not going to ask you like who should have won or who should have lost. What I'm going to ask you is, as a competitor, how much does that drive you crazy? Because I'm raised having a tie is like kissing your sister, and for me, I'm not about that life. I'm sitting there, and I get the phone call and 800 text messages that Fitch and Canfield tied again, and I'm thinking I read that wrong. So for you as a competitor, and I know you are because you are one of the biggest competitors I have ever seen, win, lose, or draw in this case. What was it like for you to have to put your head to the pillow that night or both nights and go, man, we tied again? Sorry, guys.
Well, that's just a great question. I think mostly because, like you said, you're a competitor.
Mm-hmm.
It caught me off guard. The first game was it was getting dark. The umpire said, the next game, the circumstances was, we got regional play coming up, and we only wanted to play so many innings. You know, they were talking about getting the suspended game in, but we're like, you know what? We gotta play, get one game in. We can't bury our pitchers in 10 innings just in case. We gotta save up for regionals. We didn't kiss our sister once; we kissed them twice. So, you know, I
Double down.
Trust me. That's about how I felt. Like we got to play these games because we got to win. You know, who's coming out a winner? So, it was just kind of the game ended 1-1, and Steve and I were like, let's just play 7 innings today. We didn't know really. It almost wouldn't have been fair if Fitch did win 1-0. If Marina doesn't hit that home run, and Fitch is co-champs, and we're runners-up. I mean, it's fair. I mean, you played the game 1-0, you lose. But it almost seemed unfair maybe Milena and Sydney weren't both co-players of the year because they're so deserving. These kids are so deserving of a co-championship. It's still sitting a little funny, but, thinking about it from the co-players of the year, the kids being co-champions, it's almost like that's the right play. Now, when that was brought to my attention right after the 1-1 tie, it all caught me off guard. And I'm not sure I was we were the ones really making the decision. The commissioner was there, but you know what? It made sense. And for the kids and the co-players of the year, I liked it. Right. As for not playing that game and finishing on the field, that's still rubbing the wrong way.
Gotcha.
Apologize to the community for the scenario.
Yep.
It was unique. But I think deserving for the kids to be both considered champions and co-players of the year.
So let me ask you a question. I'm going to put you on the spot here. It's not all your decision. We've already talked about this, so you know how to get ready for it. If there were a chance that because your tournament got canceled, right? Okay. You played, 2 games, 1 game, something like that because of the weather. If we were able to put a charity game together, Fitch versus Canfield at YSU, I'll rent the stadium. We'll take it. We'll take the tickets, and we'll give all the money raised to your charity. Would you, hypothetically, would you participate in that?
Within OSHA guidelines, I would say I like the thought. We could play it out for the W or loss, but I guess that would be. If that's a decider, would have to go through the commissioner. Okay. Does that make sense?
Fair enough. We can make it an exhibition. It's an exhibition regardless.
However, it fits through OSHA guidelines.
We can have the YSN All-Star game too. Like that's we can do that.
I like the creativity.
I like dancing around the fire a little bit.
I like the fundraiser part.
Yep.
I like saying let's get a winner. Can it get pulled off?
To be determined.
Yeah. I like the thought. I like the direction and thought. That's for sure.
So you guys play Thursday,
yes.
Right? What goes into? You've done this twice before, right? You've won regions twice before. 10 times you've won regionals. When you look at this, what needs to be done in order for you to walk away with the game on Saturday?
Well, somebody's going to have to walk away with 2 wins this weekend out of the 4 teams. Our kids are relaxed. There's no tense. There's no nervousness. I think they're calm. They know they're prepared. Just go play like we know how. Execute manufacture runs like we know how. Milena does her job like she continues to all year.
Yeah.
We should be in pretty good shape each game. I think our 1 through 9 in the batting lineup is a difference. Milena's a difference. Mm-hmm. So I like those key pieces to get through both games.
I'm going to ask you just a random question. You ready? Because
they're not okay. You got a random one?
I think it's an easy. Can anybody beat Canfield right now with the way that you're playing, with the confidence that you have? Can anybody beat Canfield?
We're going to be a tough out. I know that. I'm impressed with these kids and the position they put themselves in. I kept telling them early in the year. I don't think you guys realize how good you are, and I think that was a testament when we tied Fitch that we didn't lose, we didn't win, but I'm not sure. I think I told a few people there may have been maybe a handful of people at most outside of Canfield that thought we were going to give Fitch a game or possibly potentially beat them. And at this point, I'm too humble of a person to answer that question.
Sure.
But we're a tough out. I don't care who we play, and we should win whoever we play.
As a softball, and this is the final question, I promise, as a softball fan in general and a community lover, how cool is it for you to look across and see South Range and Austintown Fitch and Canfield all fighting for a state championship in the same year?
I love it when our area represents athletics well. And we're speaking about our communities, and I got to give a quick reach out to Steve Coca and letting us here at Coca's awesome food, but great support in the Canfield community. And I know he does other communities as well, but the Canfield community has been great. The school system has been great. These kids are good, are beyond super. I mean, because they made it. They made the year. But you got to appreciate the surroundings and the communities. And I'm throwing an extended out to Canfield because I'm actually impressed with the parents, with the Canfield system. We talked about me being new here. That was one of the things that was a difference for me, was dealing and affiliating with the whole system, and they've been nothing but tremendous. And to see that happen throughout these communities, I know the excitement that goes in the community. Sometimes you can get a little selfish and say, oh, well, it's so and so. But no, it's good for everybody. It's good for Youngstown, and you got to love it.
Oh, I love it more than anybody.
You're neutral. You got to be neutral.
Coach, thank you so much. Best of luck to you. Thanks for coming tonight. And obviously, best of luck this weekend because, I mean, you got your work cut out for you, but I think there's nobody in a better place than Canfield.
Thank you guys for everything. Appreciate it.
You got it. We'll be back with Haley Freedy right here on the Canfield Softball Show right here at Coca's Pizza. Back after this.